Hello, party people. Welcome to a brand new week and a brand new edition of NIKKI BANZ Live. Woo, 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 woo. All right. Giving it a moment for people to hop on to our live here today. Welcome one, welcome all. You are here with me, myself, and I, Nicole Banister, aka NIKKI BANZ. Welcome to NIKKI BANZ Live. I see a couple people are hopping onto the chat. Welcome everybody. Welcome to tonight's episode, or today, or this morning, this evening, wherever you are in the world. We know we have a super diverse and global audience here today for tonight's edition of NIKKI BANZ Live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is an absolute pleasure to have you all here. I am your hostess with the mostest, Nicole Banister, aka NIKKI BANZ, and it is such a pleasure to have you here with me today. I am so excited for today's guest. Party people, I'm telling you, you are in for an absolute treat. We've got Chiki Kuruka in the building with us. It's 9 p.m. for her in Nairobi, Kenya. It's 8 p.m. for me here in Cape Town, South Africa. And it's just going to be an absolutely amazing show for you all today. Shout out to everybody who's tuning on the live. I'm looking in now. I see Rue is on. I see Frank is on. I see Julia is on. Yes, the braids are indeed back. Had to do it up big for my girl Chiki Kuruka on the live tonight. I see my mom and dad have tuned in. Shout out mom and dad. Always got to do it one time for the family, you know. I see that Kafui has signed on. I see Marcus has signed on. Welcome. Oh my gosh. I see that the one and only Mama D has signed on. Mama D, come back to Cape Town. We miss you. We love you. Welcome everybody. This is NIKKI BANZ Live. Once again, I am your hostess with the mostest, Nicole Banister, and tonight's guest is Nairobi's finest, Chiki Kuruka. Now, NIKKI BANZ Live is an international interview series where every single week, every single Tuesday, I am bringing you a brand new guest from a brand new country around the world. And every single Tuesday, I'm bringing you actors, rappers, dancers, entertainers, authors, influencers, people who are making a huge and tremendous splash across the world in their industry so that they can talk to us about their highlights, their successes, their challenges, things that drive them and their passions. And it's so amazing to be talking to these influencers, people with these incredible followings and incredible support networks around the world, and hearing them just get down to earth, talk about the nitty gritty and all of the different things that they do in their lives. So party people, ladies, gentlemen, however you identify, we're just gonna give it a couple moments for the guest of the hour to sign on. In the meantime, I am loving all of these chats. I see some fire emojis. I see some hands up. Shout out, shout out, shout out. And remember, you're going to have an opportunity to get your questions answered by Chiki and by every guest who comes on NIKKI BANZ Live. You can use the little chat feature, the little question mark. It's like a little think bubble with a little question mark in it. You can drop your questions there throughout the live. And then Chiki will be able to answer those questions at the end. I'll give her like 10-15 minutes. You know, we got to do it one time for the fans. So everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. And once again, we so appreciate the community here. It's so exciting to have so many diverse and dynamic people. I see people tuning in from South Africa. I see people tuning in from Mozambique. I see people tuning in from Kenya. I see people tuning in from the UK. It is truly an amazing, diverse, dynamic community that we have here on NIKKI BANZ Live, and that is the whole entire point of the show, to bring people together across the globe with all of your diverse backgrounds and experiences. All right, just give me one moment to bring in the guest of the hour. All right. We're just waiting a couple minutes, but it's all good. We know it's late in Nairobi, but can't wait for Chiki to come on, and a really fun and cool story about how Chiki and I know each other. through a mutual friend, a fantastic mutual friend who will give, I'm sure, 1,000 shout outs to throughout this IG live. So go ahead, if you are here in the chat today, go ahead and drop like where you're based. Where are you coming to us from? Tell us like where are you based right now? Put some flags up. Let's see this. Let's build this community here. Let's see where people are tuning in from today. I'm so curious. Go ahead and drop it into the chat. I want to see who's all here. Where are you tuning in from? I know we got this crazy diverse audience from all over the world. That's one of the things I love about NIKKI BANZ Live. Our first ever guest was from Los Angeles, California in the United States. A young pole master, amazing pole dancer, dance instructor extraordinaire, dance instructor to the stars. We had Sivan Gessi from South Africa on as our second ever guest, talking about ways to combat period poverty and gender-based violence in South Africa. So Siv was another amazing, fantastic, exciting guest. And then last week we had Kachinga on, Zambia's hottest, biggest rapper, entertainer, host, and MC. So just a really interesting, eclectic group of people. And of course, Chiki's coming on tonight. She is a dance instructor. She is probably the fittest person in all of Kenya. It's just incredible, incredible. Okay, I'm looking at the chat now. I'm loving all these flags. Yvonne, we got Kenya in the building. Welcome, welcome. Love your products. Rocked your earrings last week. Just gonna throw that out there. All right, we got Marcus coming in hot from the UK. Welcome. Okay, we got a Ugandan flag in the building. Okay, welcome. Connecticut, USA. Amazing. We've got Mozambique in the house. This is fantastic. I love it, love it, love it. All right, thank you so much for your patience. We're just waiting for Chiki to hop on. She has not yet signed on, but that's all right. You guys get to just listen to me talk in the meantime, you know? I guess just get to chat. You get to hear my voice. I hope you like the sound of my voice because you'll be listening to it for the next hour. Okay, I see Eileen is turning in from Germany. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We got Alberto in the house. Hola. This is fantastic. I love you all. I love this energy on the live here. I hope that once Chiki signs on, keep the comments going, keep the hearts going. Love you too. Muchos besos. We've got, Melanie's coming in from France. I think we have like 10 countries on this thing already, and we're like 7 minutes into the live. So cool, everybody. This is so cool. Thank you for all the shout outs and for telling us where you're at. Melanie, too kind. We love hearing your voice. Thank you. You know, I feel like all the time, people are always like, wait, you've been in South Africa for 8 years and you still have a super strong American accent? And I'm like, yeah, unfortunately, it just never goes away. It never goes away, unfortunately. Fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know. Alberto coming in from the US. Yes, amazing. Welcome to all the guests joining and tuning in. Okay, I'm still waiting for Chiki, and I feel like I'm trying to send her a request, but it's not letting me do it, but that's okay. But she should come on in hopefully just a minute. Once again, Chiki is a fitness instructor. She is a professional dancer extraordinaire. She's a TV personality, a radio host, just an all-around all-star based in Kenya at the moment. So I'm so excited to bring her. And the other thing is she's actually my first ever female guest. I was thinking about it. I was like, oh shoot, my first 3 guests were all men. And then the next couple of guests are also all men. So shout out to Chiki coming on and doing it one time for the ladies, boss babes, you know, entrepreneurs doing our thing out here in the world. So exciting. All right, friends, still waiting. I'm like, I feel like I have to end the live to message her directly, which I don't want to do. So I'm just going to give it a moment. Hopefully she gonna tune in real soon. And in the meantime, we're all here together getting to know each other, which is what I absolutely love. Yes, party people. So once again, I really launched this interview series because I wanted to do something different. I felt like I had a lot of experience facilitating conversations and panels and dialogues for very professional audiences and professional people, right? I've spoken at the United Nations headquarters in New York City. I've spoken at the Department of State for the United States government in Washington, D.C., right? I've spoken for these very sort of like formal and professional contexts, which is all fantastic, but I wanted to broaden sort of the range of the types of people that I could speak with, and I wanted to bring their tremendous and dynamic experiences and journeys to you. I have been absolutely blessed to have traveled to over 40 countries around the world, 21 of which have been right here on the African continent, which is truly unparalleled. I think last week was the first time that I met someone who had also traveled to over 20 countries across this continent. And I have the most amazing friend group that I could ever possibly ask for. And as a result, I've met these really, really cool and interesting people throughout all of my travels. So all these people that I'm bringing in every single Tuesday on NIKKI BANZ Live are people who I've just met on my travels or people who I've connected with in one way or another. And that's why I wanted to bring all of them to you to just share their talents and their experiences and everything. So that's a little bit of history and background on NIKKI BANZ Live. In case you didn't know, now you know. You got the inside scoop. Amazing, amazing. Okay. I am just waiting a couple more moments to make sure that we just see if we can get Chiki on. I'm like, if anyone knows Chiki, feel free to slide into her DMs and be like, hey girl, where you at? So that I don't have to end the live. It looks like we might have the guest of the hour in the building. Amazing. I am so excited. Okay, let me see if the time is now. If I can get her on. Give me 1 second, party people. I know you've been waiting so patiently. I'm so impressed. All right, so I'm going to invite her to join. And we'll keep our fingers crossed that our guest is about to hop on with all of us. I'm going to give it like a little drum roll. She should be signing on in just a moment now. You know, you never know with these things, right? Like, could be internet connection. You never know what is going on. Like, especially on this continent, you know, there could be load shedding. You never know what's going on. So that's why we like to give folks a little grace period. You know, you just never know. So we're just going to wait just a couple more moments to see if we can get her on the live. Shout out to Nas Academy, who's given me all these like really cool sound effects I like to use now on my Zoom videos and on my Instagram lives. I love it. I got all these sorts of cool video, like all these sound effects. Okay, I see Chiki in the chat saying she's here. Okay, I tried to invite you, girlfriend. I'm gonna invite you again. I'm gonna invite you again. Let's see if you can hop on with us. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Tick, tick.
Hey,
There she is. Hello, hello.
don't ask me why. In my head, this thing was 9:15, and my friend messaged me like, "Yo, why are you on your live?" And I confidently messaged back, "It's 9:15." So then I was like, actually, let me go and double check that. And I don't know where that came from.
Good. It is all good. No problem at all. The fans just got to listen to me speak for like 15 minutes. And it's all good. They hold my whole life story in the past 15 minutes. Yo, Chiki, we are so incredibly excited to have you here. Welcome to NIKKI BANZ Live. I always like to
No, this is Yvonne. I'm so sorry. She's in the comments. This is Yvonne who messaged me, the one who just did a laughing face. She's literally the one who was like, girl, what's going on? Yeah.
Okay, well, shout out Yvonne for getting into Chiki's messages, being like, where are you at, girlfriend? We love it. We love it. That's what friends are for.
Amen.
And so I always, Right, right. So I always like to start off the show with giving like a little shout out to how I know each of the guests who are here with me. So I would be absolutely remiss if I didn't give a shout out to the one and only Amani, who is the plug, who connected me and Chiki, who connected the two of us. Shout out to Amani. You know, Amani, like, she's in the UK, she's in Nairobi, she's all over the place, and she connected us on like a really cool Instagram live, like fitness fundraising thing that you were doing. It was absolutely fantastic. And so that's how Chiki and I know each other. We never met in person, but hopefully soon, right?
Our spirits have met across the interwebs.
Right, exactly. Like you just see each other, you know, on the gram, you know, you like this, like that, DM, all that kind of stuff. Well,
love it.
I know, I love it too. I was explaining to the people that you are a dance expert, you are a fitness instructor extraordinaire, a radio host, a TV personality, soca queen, all these things, and we're so stoked to have you on. But for the people tuning in who maybe don't know you, it's their first time meeting you, we want to hear in your own words, like, tell us about yourself and what you're passionate about.
First and foremost, there's very few people who I would be on a live at 9:15 for, okay? Because my job requires me to start teaching at 6 a.m., which means I'm normally up by 4:30 a.m. I have literally been in studio since 6 a.m. So let me just tell you something, this is pure love right now, because if you look at the bags under these eyes, like, I'll just put it out there, Nikki, you're cop blocking me right now. I could be like elsewhere, like. But no, someone said the camera is blurry. Let me try and clean it. Oh, I think that's better. But yeah, so I am a believer in all things wellness, and I really mean the wholeness of wellness. So like the way you eat, the way you think, but more than anything, I'm an advocate of self-love. So I think anything that builds and drives that is, if I were to say, describes me, it is that. And what we do here, call it a dance class, but for me, it's an hour for people to just enjoy themselves, enjoy their bodies, love themselves. Anytime that I talk from the perspective of wellness, and I don't mean wellness of, girl, you need to lose some weight, or dude, you need to, you know, do this. I talk from the perspective of, if you can go to bed, if you can look in the mirror at the end of the day and you're happy with the soul that you see back, then you're doing the right thing. If not, it's also okay. But what tools can you put into place so that you get closer there?
I love that, Chiki. I think that's so incredibly important, because I think so more often than not, we think about health and we think about wellness and we think about that from this purely physical perspective. But the reality is it's mental as well. It's about our emotional state of being and our energy. And you've been such an amazing advocate and champion of that.
It's all mental. I'm reading a book right now called Our Obsession with Looking Healthy is Making Us Sick. And one thing that I realized just from reading this book, I mean, I've always felt that way, but having some statistics to back it up is really powerful. So there's a lot of information that shows a constant obsession with fatness in an aesthetic makes people gain weight. Overwhelmingly, the trajectory goes like that rather than lose weight, because what the doctor says, it's written by a doctor, is there is no one who is overweight who looks in the mirror who does not know that they're overweight. So your constant reference to that doesn't do anything except for make them feel bad about themselves. And normally for most people, if it's a cycle of eating or not working out or whatever it may be, all that does is make that cycle continue even more. But also, we're ignoring a huge genetic component, which most people ignore, which I didn't know until I read this book, is that we know there's different shapes, right? We call it like a muffin or a pear or an apple or whatever you want to call it, right? And all that means is where your body genetically stores fat. So some people's body naturally genetically stores fat in their booty, in their thighs, in their hips, wherever. Some people genetically stores fat in their stomach. Now, studies show that genetically storing fat in your stomach is more potentially dangerous, only because what that means is the fat is likely to be stored around things like your liver, your kidneys, your lungs, and your heart. That's why. because it's closer to those spaces. So also the genetic component is nothing to do with you. You were born that way, like your body stored fat that way. And we have this horrible habit of celebrating people who genetically, their body stores fat in their lower region versus someone who might store fat. And that's not their fault. That's got nothing to do with them. So I think we really need to change conversation. And I never, ever speak about how people look. I think it's got nothing to do with wellness. I don't think it's as well as, I think it's nothing to do. We need to completely disconnect the two things from one another.
I'm giving you so many snaps right now. I'm like, for everybody tuned in, I'm like, Chiki is dropping bars for all of us about body positivity, about looking at the realities of like how our bodies look and what health and wellness and fitness even means. I mean, even for somebody like me, like I go to all sorts of yoga classes or fitness classes or whatever, and it's like people of all body shapes are in there doing moves, doing things, right? It's like health and wellness is not like this mutually exclusive thing to how your body looks. And I think what you're doing with your dance studio, the Dance Shagz, is just incredible. So talk to us a little bit more about the studio, about its launch, about being this amazing sort of female entrepreneur that you are, and this momentum that you have around dance and dance fitness.
Okay, so I like to start with like the facts, a bit of science. So dance is one of the few activities that uses both the left side of your brain and the right side of your brain. One side, I can never remember which one, is about algorithms and those kinds of things. So algebraic formulation, so on and so forth. The other side is about creativity. Now, when you're learning choreography, you're forced to be creative whilst counting at the same time. You're counting an 8 count overwhelmingly every single time. So the good thing about that, the reason why it's important for work is if anyone has struggled with any form of anxiety, depression, anything like that, you'll realize part of your fatigue, part of the problem is your brain just doesn't stop. Even if you're not, your brain is constantly going over what is making you feel bad. Now, with dance, your brain is focused on the task at hand, both psychologically and physically. So whilst you're doing something very active, it actually gives your brain a moment to just rest, respite, and relax. So when I created the Dance Shagz, I truly believe dance is one of the most effective things for human beings, full stop. So I wanted to create something that I felt was effective, but I wanted to create something that I felt was fun. You know, like most people like to dance, and we always like to say at the Dance Shagz, it's got nothing to do with how good a dancer you are. That's actually not to do with it. But if you leave feeling lighter, right, if you leave feeling happier, if you leave feeling like I can take on my kids now, I can take on my husband now, I can take on my job now, then it means that we have absolutely done our job. So we open the Dance Shagz as a space of love, as a space of inclusivity, as a space that is open for everyone, all ages, all sizes, all genders, you know, everyone. And we just wanted more than to push the message of fitness and to push that message, just to push the message of love, and to people can just fall in love with themselves a little bit more.
Chiki, that is just so fantastic. And if I'm not mistaken, you have like in-person classes and events in Nairobi, but the studio is also accessible online, right? Like people all over the world can tune in and take amazing classes from the Dance Shagz. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. So there's also an emotional reason why. I really try. So people misunderstand. When you start saying about these perceived soft skills things, the reason why I like to give stats behind it is because those soft things are often the most important things, but people disregard them because they're considered like soft things. So when you talk about like dance, I like to make sure that, yeah, dance is fun and all of those things, but it's also really effective for XYZ reasons. When we talk about body positivity, yeah, okay, it's the right thing to do, but it's also shown statistically to be the best thing for the best outcome. So I really like to start with I believe in the emotional things, but explaining why those things are important. So yeah, we have the website. The reason why I started the website is I felt like so many people have barriers to wellness, and the barriers are overwhelmingly more at the helm of women, because what tends to happen right now is women tend to still be, I'm just talking statistically, I'm not saying men don't do it, I'm just talking from numbers.
Okay.
Statistically, primary caregivers whilst working at the same time. So your average woman will wake up in the morning, wake up her kids, organize something like breakfast, send them off to school, deal with the emotional things as well, like how are you doing, blah, 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 are you being bullied, do you have a boyfriend, whatever, then head off to work, then come back, then still prepare something in the evening, right? So when does that woman have time for herself? On top of that, most of the pressure of how you should look also falls on the feet of women. Women get judged and scrutinized by how they look 10 times more than what a man does. So that's not just about how then a woman looks, it's how you feel, how you step out into the world, you know? So I wanted to create a more equal playing field where if you have an hour and that hour happens to be at 5 a.m. when you've woken up just so that you can have some time for yourself before you start work, take it. If it's an hour in the middle of work after lunch or whatever, take it. If it's half an hour here and half an hour there, or 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, take it. And the only real way that you can deliver that is by using online, is by using spaces like websites, so that people are much more in control of how they access their wellness and their well-being. On top of that, I wanted good quality African talent. So all my instructors are from this continent, because what you see happening a lot right now is people come to the continent, learn 1-2 things, and then make more money exporting them and teaching it than the people actually from this continent. So I really wanted it to be the case that it's by Africans from Africa to the world. If you're going to use our stuff, use it from us, was kind of what the psychology was.
Right. Period. And that's one of the things that I think is so incredibly interesting about your studio and about your career as this dance instructor, fitness instructor, because like you said, it's by Africans sharing out to the world. And more often than not, you know, we have these people who come in, appropriate the culture, take it off, and then they leave, right? And so to actually have instructors here based on the continent, from the continent, sharing their passions, their dances, their moves live from here is something that unfortunately isn't happening at the scale and at the rate that it should be. And one of the things I think is so interesting, right? Because I think, you know, maybe at least for me, you know, when I started to think about like dance fitness, the first kind of thing that pops into my head is probably something like Zumba, right? It's this Latin inspired dance culture, whatever that goes, you know, bachata, salsa, merengue, whatever. But what you've done is you've created momentum and you've created a movement around African dances, African cultural movement, and Caribbean, and you're starting this blending and bridging of the gaps between these dance styles that people have loved and done for years and years and years, right? And then you're sharing that, which is so different and so unique.
Yeah, so I actually started as almost a revolt to Zumba. So when I first came to Kenya, I'm Nigerian. No, genuinely, you laugh, but actually that genuinely is, if you want to know the journey, I'm Nigerian. And I have been brought up in an environment where we're so proudly Nigerians. If you know one Nigerian, you know probably 10 million things about Nigeria, because we talk about Nigeria all the damn time, you know? So when I first came to Kenya, I found it really interesting that Zumba was so big. And I was like, yo, man, as my entire life, I've known the hub of African dance is this continent, the hub of dance is this continent, the hub of vibes, the hub of, you know, that electricity is this continent. So I found it really interesting when I first came that, okay, that is all true, then why is Zumba the biggest thing even on this continent? Now, that's no shade to Zumba in any way, shape, or form, yeah? I think it's great that Zumba has opened up so many doors for people who otherwise wouldn't necessarily be interested in doing something physical. That might be their first step into doing something physical. That's brilliant. But culture is important too, and recognizing our impact on culture is important too, and owning our narrative is important too. So what a lot of people say to me is, yeah, but these days Zumba has Afro beats, and I'm like, yeah, we can have our own Zumba. We don't need something that has been created by someone else and slot ourselves in. We have more than enough ability to just create our own and just celebrate the amazing talent that is on this, you know, continent, who can do it just as effectively without the label of something else, you know? So for me, that was really, really important to call it an African name, to have African instructors, to broaden out and have, you know, more eventually African instructors from different parts of the continent, but to celebrate the people on the continent as the experts, because that's what they are.
Absolutely, Chiki. And I think what you're bringing into the dialogue and the conversation now is really this like deeply rooted emphasis on culture and sharing our narratives as people of color across the continent, across the world. And I want to ask you a little bit more about your sort of identity and how you identify, right? As someone who's moved and lived in a lot of different places around the world, and your upbringing and your background. And so share a little bit more about how you identify and sort of the how you made it to Kenya and this journey that you've been on sort of as a globetrotter and professional around the world.
So I think I identify first and foremost with love. And, you know, I think we can get really tied up in boxing ourselves from other people's expectations, you know, overwhelmingly. So anytime I meet someone that leads with love, I connect with them. It doesn't matter, you know, where they're from, because inherently that's what I believe in. However, culturally, and if you've been a minority in a country like the US or the UK, you can't hide from the fact that you're not originally from the US or the UK, or, you know, wherever it might happen to be. I remember growing up and people would ask me, and people in Kenya struggle to believe this, right? But anyone who's lived abroad will understand this, that someone will ask you, where are you from? And I'll be like, I'm from London. No, but where are you from? You know, you're like, and then right. What they mean is, you're clearly not from here ancestrally, so where is that blackness? What they mean is, where is your black from, right? So I think it's impossible to have been brought up in a non-African country and not strongly identify with your African roots, because you're never allowed to forget them, you know? Even if you come from an adopted family, let's just say, where you have zero connection with your ancestry, you will constantly be asked that question, constantly. So there's no way you can hide from that. On top of that, we Nigerians are hella proud, you know? So like, I've been brought up in a home where, you know, my dad is never going to allow me to forget. And, you know, unlike many Africans, I wasn't given a British name. My parents didn't think it was necessary. All my names are African. All my names are African. And so even just something like naming, when you walk into school and your teachers are asking you your name, and you've got a black person called Christine, and you've got a black person called Chikwere, automatically you are not a Christine. See what I mean? Oh man, you know? So I think for me, I am a Nigerian, proudly, comfortably, but overwhelmingly I'm a global citizen that leads with love, because I've been in Kenya now for 8 years. It feels like home. Like if you were to take me out of Kenya and then and ask me some isms that I now have, there's no way you can live in a country for 8 years and not pick up some of the isms and feel comfortable in that kind of a space, right? So I don't know, man. I'm a bit of everything, but I'm a Nigerian. I'm a
Don't
Nigerian.
forget.
My dad would
Don't
murder
forget.
me if I didn't start with I'm a Niger, but everything else is also very important as well.
I love it. I love it. I very strongly identify with love and Nigeria. Thank you, ladies and
Yes, and
gentlemen.
jollof rice. Love and jollof rice. Like outside of that, like anything.
Love and jollof rice. Are you all listening to this right now? Oh my God, I love that. You know, and the reason why I had to ask you that question is because similarly, I'm half Black American, I'm half Persian, grew up in the United States, in Singapore, in Bolivia, and now I'm living in Cape Town, South Africa, and been here for the past 8 years as well. And so I'm like, okay, when people ask me where you from, I'm like, I don't know. Do you want to know where I was born? Do you want to know where my mom's from? Do you want to know where my dad's from? Do you want to know where my first passport is from? Do you want to know where my second passport is from, right? Like, do you want to know where I have permanent residency? Those are all different answers, okay?
Sure. Sure. But one thing I realized is like I am comfortable with in Nigerian spaces anywhere I am in the world. So that's what I'm saying. I do very much lead with Nigeria because anywhere I am, if I meet a group of Nigerians, I feel a space for myself there. Like I can enter that space and feel as if there's a space for me there. I can't 100% say that about the UK because they won't let you feel like that. You're Black first. You see what I mean? I can't 100% say that about Kenya because the first question is going to also be because of my accent. But where are you really from? The only place that I can say, because Nigerians, we are very claiming of our own, that as soon as a Nigerian sees my name, and as soon as I like introduce myself and say a little bit about my background, I am theirs. And they're not going to let me not be theirs and treat me like a sister immediately in a way that I don't think anywhere else truly does.
And and I think you're touching on all of these really critical issues, and you talked about like you talked about women earlier and body identity and body positivity, and then when you couple that with Blackness and moving to different spaces, there are just like so many issues and so many things that we as women of color face, whether it's our Black skin when we move into new environments or largely wider European environments, and then it's the shape of our body, it's how our hair looks. It's our responsibilities as women. There's so many different issues and things that we face and that we have to deal with. And again, I think this is just such a testament to your prowess, your professionalism, and the reason why you are who you are today, because you've been able to be a voice and an advocate, against all of these biases that we have, that a lot of people hold and have against women, against Black women, against Black people in general. And I think it's something that's really, really incredibly inspiring. It's something that a lot of us are learning from. And I'm reading the comments here, and people are really excited about what you have to say.
I think being a woman, first of all, you have such different societal expectations on you. Now, I can't say being a Black woman because I'm in a country where the majority of women are Black, right? But so there's nothing like particularly nuanced there. Most people are Black, but being a woman, I have found it at times disappointing being in the public eye, seeing the different expectations that women have than men have, the different expectations that society will place on you as a woman than as a man. And the reason why for me it's always really important to speak out is because I feel like sometimes if I think this is nonsense, there must be other people who are watching who also don't know where they stand on this. And if they can acknowledge that I think it's nonsense as well, then maybe it can kind of like support this psychology that is nonsense. Like being married is a great example. The expectations on a woman and a man being married could not be more different. As if you're a married woman, your job is to be a nun, apparently. Right? Your job is to dress from top to toe, not show any of your body, not ever be seen with another man, not do your job. I mean, I've had comments when I'm dancing with guys, gay guys even, and guys are like, oh, how did your husband let, you know, someone carry you like that? And the question for me is, you want me to stop doing my job now because I'm married? And I haven't seen that same impact or the change in narrative for my husband. You know, for him, he can just kind of continue being whoever he was beforehand. In fact, for him, the society gives him a thumbs up, like, okay, cool, you're more mature now, you've settled down, good for you, so on and so forth. So I think for me, it's really important to keep speaking, keep challenging, keep questioning this idea that women have completely different expectations than men. Where does that come from? Who designs that? And when women are reinforcing that, it's me the most, you know. So I think if you're given a mic, your responsibility is to do something with that mic. No one can come on my page for slay queen stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with slay queens. I'm all about utilizing your sexuality however you want to. However, if you're on my page, understand that it's because I have something to say. I take that very seriously, and I take challenging chauvinism, challenging stereotypes, challenging the box that women are put in significantly more than men are put in incredibly seriously. And it's just boring after a certain point, this idea that my life has to stop at marriage, yet my husband can thrive and, you know, do all of this stuff. Like even on this live, seeing comments, where's BN, where's BN? So I can't even do a live, apparently, without my husband holding my hand as my bodyguard. Why? Because he's going to pay my studio bills. You know, he's going to be the one waking up in the morning doing my training. So I think we must continue to challenge that psychology until it stops being the psychology.
Chiki, I think you're just so spot on with this. And I think especially when it comes to, you know, a big topic like marriage, which, you know, I'm not married, so I can't speak to that from personal experience or anecdotal experience. But even when we talk about sexuality and, you know, something I'm very passionate about is being in the sex positivity space and how women speak about their sexuality and their sensuality or the things that they do with partners and really spearheading open dialogue, not just between, you know, women and men or whoever your partner is, whatever background, sexuality, gender, but also between friend groups and things like that. There are all these stigmas and associations amongst women, like you mentioned, that we really have to try and shatter. And especially for you, someone who is like very much in the public eye always, do you have tips? Do you have strategies for how you combat some of these really bigoted or biased perspectives and views in a way that doesn't, you know, piss everybody off? Any tips for us?
I think the first thing that's most important to do is to really, really love yourself. Because unless you do that, those comments can start having an impact on you, even if you don't realize that they are. So first, it's really taking the time away from the public, kind of the public world, to really ensure that this can't trigger me. So that when I'm responding, I'm not responding because you've hurt me. You don't have the power to do that. I'm responding because I want to educate. I want to take an opportunity to educate. And I'm responding because a kid, a young girl might be watching this. A young boy might be watching this. And I want to remind you unequivocally that this is not okay. And I'm aware that this is not okay. And I want to take my space to start changing the knee-jerk way in which people respond to men and women. Sex positivity is a great one. Like my neighbors are two very, very legendary musicians in the public eye. Their names are nameless and wahoo. They've been married. They just celebrated their 16th wedding anniversary the other day, which is brilliant. However, recently they trended and they've been married for 16 years and they have contributed so much to the creative arts industry, but not just that, as parents, as vocalists for movements. Anyway, they went on holiday and wahoo was, who has been married for 16 years, was on a beach with her husband wearing a bikini. Now, it is literally the burqa of bikinis, because it was like all the way up, high-waisted, all the way up, like in terms of bikini, like not everything was covered, like in terms of from a bikini perspective, right? She trended for days for being inappropriately dressed. And what sickens me is the fact that we have a society that would allow that to happen when men can walk around topless on a beach and it's absolutely fine. No one is going to question anything about that. So I think unless in our small spaces, when they come up, you challenge them, if you're okay to do so, if you love yourself enough that you're not doing it to, you know, to get some form of glorification or gratification, because trust me, the people you're challenging are never going to get it. You're not challenging it for them. They're not going to get it. If you're hard-headed enough to sit on a phone and, why are you wearing a bikini? You know, that person, you've lost them. But you're doing it for the people who are following you. You're doing it for the young boys and the young girls who are taking lead from the messages that you put out there. So for me, I think the best tip is, first and foremost, know why you're challenging. Challenge if you can. It's not, I think, this idea that if you're a woman, it's your responsibility. If you're a black person, it's your responsibility. Like the world of all women or all black people or all queer people or, you know, whatever space that you happen to be in is on your shoulders. That needs to change. First, we need to be okay with ourselves, first and foremost. Because you can't be okay for other people unless you are. Then know that the person that you're challenging is probably on a toilet somewhere in the middle of nowhere, who's had a bad day themselves, who's taking that out on you. So you're not changing them. You're not doing it for that. You're doing it for the broader, you know, the broader messaging on, you know, what is fair, what is not fair, what is okay, and what is not okay.
So brilliantly put, Chiki. I think this idea of making sure that you yourself are comfortable and okay to respond back if you're going to say something, and that at the end of the day, you just live the most authentic kind of life that you can live. If these are the issues and these are the things that you're passionate about, then move through the world freely. Be that role model, be that guide for the young kids out there who are looking to you, being like, wow, look at Chiki doing something different. Look at Nicole doing something different and speaking up about these things that are important to us and that we're passionate about. And I think, you know, even that goes back to this whole thing that we talked about in the beginning around your mental health and your wellness as a whole, right? Because we have to be the best versions of ourselves, and especially once you start getting into the public eye more and more, even just in your sort of internal friend groups, it can become this thing where, you know, people might not always have your back, right? And so if you're going to be passionate, you're going to be vocal about these issues, like your support system is going to be super strong, and you have to have safe spaces where people can have honest and open dialogue and conversations about issues, whether it's racism or whether it's sexuality or whether it's about, you know, how we judge or don't judge other women by what they wear on the beach, right, or things like that. And so I think that's just such a critical thing. And I think, you know, a little bit more your background in dance, you have done a lot of dance and fitness work with different people that doesn't just integrate the fitness component too, but also with the mental health and wellness component. Is that correct?
Yeah, so actually, outside of dance, I started dancing really young, by force, by fire. It's another Nigerian thing. You're not allowed free time. You're not allowed to watch television. You're not allowed to enjoy your youth. So my parents placed me into every activity humanly possible. It just so happened that fortunately, being in the UK, there's a very a good dance system and dance structure. So I started with ballet and its whole examination process and everything like that, you know. So it wasn't like, and my parents love that. What? She's not just going for fun. She's doing exams too. Good. Like, bring that on, you know. So the fact that I was going through, and the fact that I was going through the whole like exam system of dance from very, very young was really helpful for me. Then we had something in our school which was like a separate qualification called the CSLA, which is the Community Sports Leadership Award. And what that teaches you to do is, whatever your particular specialism, and in our class we had so many different types of athletes. So it might be a football player, a hockey player, netball player, whatever. Mine just happened to be dance. What that specifically teaches you how to do is how to teach that skill. So what you do is go into different types of communities, and by communities it means a community of maybe people who have learning disabilities, or a community of people, of kids, or a community. It takes you directly into different communities and teaches you how to teach the exact same lesson plan, but adapt it so that it's appropriate for that particular community that you happen to be in. And it's a qualification that at the time I just did because I just didn't want to be pushed into another chess club or whatever, like what my parents would decide. So I just did it like for the sake of it. But it has been one of the most useful things, ironically, that I have ever done, because so many dancers turn teachers or turn fitness instructors because we do it all the time. You're pushing your body to an absolute edge. So it teaches you to really learn what your body is. However, like being a good mathematician doesn't make you a good maths teacher, being a great dancer doesn't make you a great dance instructor. And having the skills to really learn how to break down a session, what is a session, why this bit is important, why that bit is important, how to read your class behind you, know the difference between someone who just kind of can't be bothered versus someone who physically can't do anymore, learning the difference between guys who are engaged and guys who are just kind of smiling to be polite and they're never going to come back, you know, really learning and then being able to switch it up fast. Those are skills that taught me. Now, you try teaching like kids. I had a class which was kids with learning disabilities, right? Okay. And specifically autism. Autism is my specialism, actually, because I started later on working with mental health for wellness. So I started doing, my specialisms are schizophrenia and autism. However, doing that, having a kid be like, I'm bored. Do you know what that does to your like self-esteem? You've really created a class you think is really fun and engaging, and someone is just going to stand there, I'm bored, you know. So I'm learning how to change it up before they say that. Again, becomes the skill. So yeah, my background is yeah, very much dance with wellness, always has been, because I'm not interested in performing. I'm not interested in competing. The thing that I love the most about dance is the gifts that it gives people. Anyone who's done a great dance class for an hour, you walk differently at the end of it. You feel differently at the end of it. To be able to connect with your creativity physically, whilst spiritually, whilst emotionally, whilst logically, that's something that very few activities can really give you. And I wanted to give that to people. I wanted people to experience that. So very soon on, I realized I'm not someone who necessarily cares about doing a show and having everyone clapping. That doesn't really do much for me. That's fine. I can twerk at home, you know. But one thing, I just wanted people to feel what I feel when I dance. So I connected it to mental health immediately, and I started working with an organization that dealt with homelessness, but normally the component of homelessness was some form of mental ill health. I created a show called Challenging Stigmas. So what we did was we'd take people with mental ill health and encourage them to express themselves without using their words necessarily. So they can use movement, they could use art, any of the creative arts they were able to do. And what we would bring is the local community in to come and see, because a lot of the things with mental health is people just don't understand it. And overwhelmingly, movies and media have vilified all of these different, you know, mental health. If you ask someone about schizophrenia, most people's first question is, they're not going to kill you. Well, of course they're not going to kill you, but people just don't know anything about it. Autism is just a neurological difference, you know, that's it. So once you understand how to speak their language, it's just that. It's the same as trying to communicate with someone who speaks French or Chinese or German or whatever, you know. So I wanted guys to have more ways to express themselves than just verbally, because for many of them, they just couldn't.
And I think that this attention to people, the way that your empathy skills are just like totally off the charts, right, Chiki? And the fact that you're able to look at these different people and people, especially with autism, with schizophrenia, people who have historically been marginalized because of these things that they should not be being marginalized for, and shedding light, shedding awareness, paying attention to their needs, and making sure that, you know, a dance class like yours or a fitness class is inclusive and truly inclusive, not just from diversity, not just from gender and sexual orientation, but also from an ability standpoint, or from, you know, an intellectual, learning ability standpoint, is so important. And I think that the way that you've been able to integrate, you know, health and wellness and mental health in particular into the physical fitness component has just been so inspiring. And like I said, I see people in the chat saying thank you and clapping and saying inspiring as well, because it's true. And we need more people who are talking about these things and sharing it here on Instagram Live and telling people like, hey, like, what are you doing to learn more about these communities and break down your own internalized stigma and internalized oppression that we all have internalized, biases against certain types of people and certain groups of people, and taking an active step to say, you know what, I'm going to try and do better. I'm going to try and create spaces that are truly inclusive in all senses of the word. It's just so cool.
But I think like education is hella important, you know, because I think sometimes you can try and do something good and you end up not doing something good. Like a good example is like something like autism, for example, right? If you happen to have someone who's particularly sensitive, because normally autism affects people with autism, the way in which they have an experience of senses is different, right? So you might feel like, I'm here, I'm giving this best dance class, and someone on a particular point of the spectrum, you're hurting them. You're like physically, like physical pain, right? So you're playing music, you're giving them all the good vibes, you're breaking down the class, you're teaching it to them, you know, slowly, but they're feeling physical pain. Or it might be something even deeper than that. Their specific response to smell might be really sensitive. And, it has not been so uncommon that people with autism can have a complete and utter breakdown because someone's perfume or someone's shampoo or whatever it is hurts physically. You know, it's not just they smell it and the way in which their body reacts to it, it hurts physically. So I think people taking time, especially in the wellness space, and I posted about this yesterday, it's up to everyone to educate themselves, because we are in a place now where influencers have more influence than doctors. That is scary as hell, because influencers are normally either led by a bias, or led by a paycheck, or but they have to be led by education. Otherwise, the information that you're giving masses of people is flawed and people follow it. And we've seen it happen even with these different diets and everything like that. Like, if anyone, forget an influencer, just sits and takes time and Googles top 10 diet tips for the last 10 years, they couldn't be more different. We as humans haven't changed. How we consume food hasn't changed. How our body responds to food hasn't changed. Yet the diet tips of the last 10 years have changed so radically. So I think it's really important to not undermine education. And if you're going to speak on a platform, it's okay to say I don't know, by the way. That's absolutely fine. It's okay to say this is how I feel, this is how I think. But when you're advising and encouraging and motivating people to do particular things, my sincere ask is take time and educate yourself, because you might think you're doing something really good. I'm not even suggesting that people have malicious intent, but you might be given really flawed advice and information. And I honestly feel that this is how we've got to the place that we have done, where health is all about how you look, nothing about how you feel, and nothing about what is actually happening inside your body. Because some people with a great body, who often don't even have to train as much as someone who has a lower metabolism rate, is posting pictures and giving false advice about how they consume wellness. So I just hope that changes.
Yes. Well, and I think this is one of the biggest challenges that we face in this influencer social media world that we live in right now, is that we see pictures of people, and we think that this is real life, that this is all true, that this is, you know, exactly how people live their lives. But as you shared, as many people, you know, will say, right, like, where are the facts? Where's the education behind it? Have you studied? Have you researched? Even my brother Chiki, my brother Julian, he's also a fitness instructor, and the way he shares so much knowledge and so much information from the books that he's reading and these different courses that he's taking, you know, it's like he's truly, you know, dedicated to making sure he's got the right information and sharing that. And we can see that, you know, you do that as well. But it's so important, especially when you have a platform like someone like you, right, that you've got the facts, right, and then we're creating again this image and sharing the reality, right,
and you're updating the facts. And you're updating the facts. Not to feel like I did a nutrition degree 10 years ago, and therefore I know, you know, the reality is we are learning more about the human body, the human mind, human emotions, and how they all interconnect with one another every single day. So if you're not living wellness, and that's all the way through to reading the updated information, then again you might feel, and actually I feel like Kenya in particular is in this space, even with our mental health professionals, that they will give advice that is so dated, advice that I remember in my lifetime being told, like when I was being educated. People used to think this, but now we have enough information to draw this conclusion, you know? Nothing. Health, wellness is what we live by. If a lawyer has to update their learning every so often, if we have to update our damn driver's licenses every so often, I know in the UK it's 10 years, right? How can we not expect people who are leading mass movements to do the same thing with their knowledge and information?
Stay up to date. Can't stay static. Change is a necessary part of growth. We have to grow. We have to shift. We have to know, you know, what's new, what's relevant, and read that in what we've studied historically. And I think, again, Chiki, there's so many gems, so many nuggets that you're sharing with us on this live today. I want to be a little conscious of your time. I know it's super late for you, but I just want to quickly share, like, if anybody has any questions for Chiki, I see there's a bunch of people who are still on. Feel free to use that little question box feature. We'll take a couple of questions before we let you, you know, sign off and go sleep before you have to wake up.
Just my questions. I'm going to fail, like immediate failure. Immediate failure. Why is it that you can be really good at maths in school, and then, like, as soon as you leave school, like, someone will ask you a maths question and it's like, whoa, what are you trying to do?
Oh, right. I mean, I struggle, like, even doing my tips at restaurants. I'm like, wait a second. I took calculus. I took advanced calculus. Like, why can't I do a tip? Why can't I calculate 10% in my head? Right? Like,
my degree was theology, metaphysics, and logic. Logic is only maths. All it is like equations and yeah, I mean, like, all it is that. Like, it's really pure. It's pure maths. Ask me what pie even is, and I'm gonna ask you what flavor. You know, like, it's really
like cherry or pumpkin.
yeah, and I'm gonna have some. Like, is it on offer? Where is it?
Right. So don't ask Chiki any math questions, okay, y'all, or maths, as we say here in SA. But you got the little thought bubble with the question mark in it. Go ahead and drop a couple questions there. And Chiki, as we're waiting to see if anybody drops any questions, this has been such an inspiring and dynamic
I have
dialogue.
just noticed that icon, by the way. I've never seen it before in my life.
I think it's a new thing with IG Live. I also didn't know that was like a thing with these last couple like episodes I've been having of NIKKI BANZ Live. People have been posting questions in that little box, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is a thing, I guess, that people do now. So,
I love it.
You know,
I'm all for it. Now I've been educated, you know? Now I can start telling people, did you know? There's a new feature.
Okay, well, I'm glad you learned one thing from me, because I think I just learned like 100 things from you on this live. So at least that's my contribution. There's a question box on IG Live now.
It's the quality of the thing. I'm a social media influencer and I don't know about a freaking question button. No, you made what could be an embarrassing situation very soon not happen. So I appreciate you for that.
You see, there we go. It's reciprocity. It's all about reciprocity in relationships and interviews,
Good.
whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Good.
So Chiki, talk to us about, like, my last question for you. What's next? What's new? What's exciting? What should we keep an eye out for? What issues should we be thinking about? You know, like, talk to us, final lines, like, what should we be keeping an eye out for, you know, from what's coming from you and all these different issues and your business and all the things that you're passionate about?
Okay, so what's next? For me, like, it was really important to bring dance online. So head over to my website, www.thedanceshagz.com. What we're going to be doing there, I'm really excited about, is for the month of October, which happens to be Trans Awareness Month. Not that that's got anything to do with what I'm about to say. I just want to throw that out there. We're going to be doing, throw it in. We have partnered with a number of different organizations, international organizations, to deliver online community-based wellness content that are one-off links. So historically, for our website, you have to do a monthly subscription, and it gives you access to 12 dance classes every single week. And, you know, we upload new ones every single week, and we have, you know, beginners, intermediate, and advanced, or whatever. But what we're going to be doing in October is £5, $5, 500 shillings, one-off links, which will give you access for a month to a hub of content about particular issues. So we're going to be partnering in line with, like I said, Get a Professional. We're partnering with a doctor's surgery to do something particular for non-communicable diseases, which is the highest cause of death, the highest growing cause of death at the moment globally. So that's hypertension, high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, all of those lifestyle-related ill health is another way to put it. So we're going to, the doctor is giving health tips and tricks and really good nutritional tips, really simple things that can be implemented in, you know, your day-to-day activities. Things like making sure, and I hear this from a lot of new mums, that try not to pick off your kid's plate, because overwhelmingly that can off balance what you've eaten during the day. And, you know, so those kinds of small tips and tricks, I was really fascinated by some of the things that the doctor was saying. And then there'll be a range of cardio-based activity as well that you can do. We're also partnering up with a UK-based organisation called Queer Bruck, which is the largest Black and Caribbean queer club night in the UK. And what we're doing is trying to re-educate the conversation that we also have a very thriving queer community on the continent. And it shouldn't just be that the queer community look at Europe as aspirational and Europe look at the continent as a scary place. So what we're trying to do, in line with what we're doing with dance, is having our instructors from Africa teaching voguing from our perspective, and telling some of the African queer stories. So again, that's going to go live as just an individual piece of content that is purchasable on the website. So more tech stuff. I'm all into how to make stuff accessible, easy, and the best way to dance like no one is watching is from the comfort of your own home when actually no one is watching. So that's what we're trying to really encourage people to do in the mornings, in the evenings, when you have a spare bit of time. So from the dance thing, that's something that I'm really excited about, because it opens up so many doors. It allows us to collaborate with different entities. And I'm really kind of like creative when it comes to my like collaborations. No one would necessarily think dancing UK queer club night, like where is that? Yeah. So I'm really trying. I believe everyone should dance. So I'm like, how do I get into as many different communities as possible, and try and, you know, spread that messaging as much as possible. So I think that's the biggest thing that is coming out. The website is really cool. Like, honestly, we have a database of a few thousand now. You can like link. Yeah, and we've only been open for a few months. It's amazing. Like, honestly, getting that kind of feedback. What we're also trying to do is embed through the website wellness into insurance policy. So the belief is that insurers shouldn't just take your money, they should also support you in your health journey, like across. So we're also working closely with insurance companies to figure out how, if you've paid for insurance, wellness should be free for everyone. So that's what we're really trying to, yeah, we're really trying to work on that. Yeah, because it's like, you can't just be taking my money when I'm messing everything up. At least give me a helping hand along the way. Then it's my, if I mess it up, it's my fault, but give me a helping hand along the way, you know? So I think those are the few things I'm most excited about. Just all things digital, making wellness more and more accessible, more fun, more inclusive, more engaging.
Yes, yes. And I see my mom, this is my mom and dad here typing into the chat, dancing is good for your soul. Absolutely, Mamanjun. That is so true. You know, we have this family tradition, Chiki, where at the end of every movie, whether we're in a movie theater or at home in the comfort of our own home, if there's a good song at the end of the movie, we all get up and dance. It don't matter. We're in the theater, we're not at the theater, we're at home.
I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a family flash mob.
Yeah, exactly. And what you're talking about is a micro level approach to inclusive dance and a whole bunch of different dance styles, merging the African and the Caribbean, you know, introducing all these different dance styles to the world by African creators themselves, African artists and dancers, but also the macro level too, talking about working with insurance companies and making sure that wellness is an integral part of what our health insurance offers. Snap, snap, snaps, like just, yes, all of it, yes, Chiki. We support you 100%.
I want to see you twerk now.
Oh, you know, I really had music like queued up. And I wore like my sweatpants. I was like, I don't know what Chiki's gonna have me do on this live. I was like, if I need to dance, you know.
Girl, I started at 6 a.m. I can barely like stand right now, so I wasn't having anything. Blinking, just blinking.
Okay, we're not gonna make you dance, Chiki. That's so funny. The one question we have in the chat is can we see a few dance moves and finish with that?
You can definitely go on my Instagram. You can't see these bags. However, I do have a challenge for everyone.
Okay.
I read it and it was really like inspiring to me. Before you leave the house every day, try and dance for 3 minutes. Just 3 minutes. It changes the way that you step into the world.
Ooh, okay. Ladies, gentlemen, however you identify, before you leave the house, you heard it here first from Chiki Kuruka here on NIKKI BANZ Live. Before you leave the house, you must dance for 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Every day. Let's just see how it changes your life. I'm ready.
Try for a week.
Challenge accepted. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try it for a week. I'm gonna report back to you. Okay, I'm gonna report back to you.
Please film it, in fact.
Okay,
film it. I got my whole neighborhood doing it. You got people in the morning walking out. You know, it's amazing. Yeah, I love it.
A little dance.
Exactly.
Yes, film it, and when you film it, tag at Chiki Kuruka on Instagram, tag at the Dance Shagz on Instagram, tag your girl Nikki Banz at They Call Me Banz on Instagram. We're ready for you. We support y'all. We're excited about this challenge. Chiki, I have to thank you so much. I know it's late. I cannot wait to dance with you in real life, in person, one of these days soon. Come visit Cape Town anytime, or I'll come to Nairobi with Amani and we'll do it big on that side of the world. But it's truly your insights from everything from the physical wellness to mental health awareness to inclusivity to your strong, you know, Jollof roots. You know, we appreciate all of it. Thank you for coming on and just sharing your wisdom with all of us. It's been such a pleasure.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for having these conversations, man. They're so super important. And I feel like having them on a space like Instagram Live is so accessible to so many people all over the world. You know, it's the BBC, it has like UK connotations. If it's CNN, it has American connotations. If it's Citizen, it has Kenyan connotations. It's so beautiful to use tech to be able to connect people and have serious conversations.
I completely agree. And that's just like, it's been so incredible on this journey, sharing this information, sharing amazing, successful influencers and creators like yourself, just coming on and sharing this with all of us. Nikki Banz Live, and we'll save this on IGTV so you can watch it forever and ever. I'll upload it onto YouTube, so this conversation will be there as well. You can share broadly. So yeah, we'll keep having these conversations in public spaces for sure. Thank you so much, Chiki, for coming on to Nikki Banz Live. Have a beautiful evening. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. We'll see you next Tuesday. Bye.